The dream started from trying to be the best or accomplish the highest level that I can accomplish within what I was doing. And at that time, when I started running, I realized that if you're a runner, the highest accomplishment you can have is being an Olympian. I had targets at every age category that I had to hit. That was a goal for me that I focus on, and I keep on hitting those targets. So after primary school, I won all of those races that we had sports day. Then the next thing was making the national team. I did that. The next thing was getting a medal. I did that. And the next thing was like, okay, you approach your junior year. So you're 18, 19. What's the next thing? Sometimes when I look at my career as well, where I've been in terms of sports, I realize that at my peak, nobody or nothing could penetrate my focus. I need to give myself some time to try fully as a professional athlete. And if I don't make it, it's fine. I know I've given it 100%. I jumped very well there, but I had a very small fall, which was a very good jump. I crossed the line a little bit too much and it was all over. That was really tough for me because I put in so much work, time, and money into getting to the 2012 Olympics.
People, welcome to the SunSide Kingdom Show, the place where we highlight successful individuals with roots and or associations with the sunny side of the Dutch Kingdom. These accomplished persons are true role models that put ahead perseverance, hard work, and focus to achieve their goals. I'm your host, John Sandiford, aka Jam Sandiford. Let's get into today's episode. People, welcome to the SunSide Kingdom Show. And today we have with us Mr. Fabian Florant.
Thank you very much. That's a very good pronunciation.
That's a good pronunciation. Yes. Florant.
Yeah, French.
Damn, where to start with this introduction?
We go way back, so I don't know.
He's the only person that I know growing up that has been to the Olympics.
Facts.
The only person I know that well, one of the few people I know that had a dream from young, and no matter what came in this guy's way, he continued to push that aside and focus on that goal and achieve that goal. Big facts. Hailing from the beautiful land of many weavers, Dominica, by way of St. Martin to the Netherlands.
Correct.
A little pit stop in the States as well.
Yes.
Highly accomplished individual on the athletic side. Is it 10-time, 11-time?
20-time Dutch champ.
20? Jesus Christ.
Undefeated.
Dude. Do you leave room for anyone else?
Nope. Until I'm dead.
20-time. But you still competing then?
Nah, I'm just doing it for fun. Nothing serious.
Okay. Shit. 20-time national Dutch triple jump champion.
Yep. And long jump as well.
And long jump. And so triple jump and long jump. And right now a successful, you'll have to fill in that part because it's on the banking side, because there's already been a transition there, right, from where you first started.
Yeah. Started as a senior project manager, and then now I'm a senior management consultant. So a little bit more experience now, and I'm able to consult management on improving our way of working and trying to have more cost savings and how we can improve our financials. So that's where I'm at this moment.
So let's kick this off. Welcome, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate it, my brother. Happy to be here.
Awesome. It's been a long time coming.
Definitely.
So Fabian, take me back. Well, we already mentioned 20-time Dutch champion, Olympic athlete, and from the time we met as teenagers, I know that was one of your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So where did that dream actually begin? Because by the time we met, that dream was already locked in.
Yeah.
So where did that dream start?
The dream started from trying to be the best or accomplish the highest level that I can accomplish within what I was doing. And at that time, when I started running, I realized that if you're a runner, the highest accomplishment you can have is being an Olympian. So I said I didn't have anything in between. I just went for the top. I was like, at the end of the day, I want to become an Olympic athlete. I want to become an Olympian. That's the ultimate goal, you know? Everything in between is going to be okay, but I want to go to the top. So when you met me, my mind was already set. Like, I want to win. Once after winning the gold medal, is going to the World Championships, going to the Olympics, and I want to become an Olympian. So that's how it started, pushing straight to the moon.
Straight to the moon. and then now I could get maybe a tad bit personal, and for those that know me personally know that I'm in a bit into the horoscopes, but yeah, that's that February energy, man. That Aquarius energy. Because for those that at home that don't know, the greatest basketball player of all time is also an Aquarius.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Well, I mean, right now you have Michael Jordan, you have Kobe. I mean, who are we talking about?
So which one would most people consider the greatest?
Man, that's tough. I would have to say Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
MJ,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Kobe was a Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectionist, also like Michael Jackson, perfectionist, Virgos. LeBron James is a Capricorn. So there's also that element of perfectionism there, hard work, but leadership, etc. Well, I'm a Capricornio, so then there's a bit of that link, but that like killer focus, yeah, I gotta give it to these Aquariuses, man.
Born to be wild. I watched Michael Jordan. I watched MJ's documentary, and yeah, the focus was just on another level. Sometimes when I look at my career as well, where I've been in terms of sports, I realize that at my peak, nobody or nothing could penetrate my focus. And yeah, it's just amazing how the brain worked at that time to get to where I wanted to get. So I can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say that the dream started, so you started running.
Yep.
And then at some point you transition into the long jump and the triple jump.
Yep.
But when did you start running? What age were you back then?
I was in primary school in Dominica, so I guess we started doing this school day, sports day events. I must have been anywhere from 5, 6 around there. And that's when I remember I was a good runner because I was already winning the 60 meters and those type of distances. And I was always far apart from everybody else. And then I did long jump. I was also winning. So I said, okay, I've already proven myself on that level that I am a champion and I'm way ahead of everybody else. So I can just kind of think about what's the biggest thing I could accomplish. And at that time, if you're a sprinter or a jumper or an athlete in track and field, then the Olympics is what you think about.
So what was there at that time, any facilities or organizations or even Dominican Olympian athletes at the time?
There were, but not in my generation where I could talk about them. I was too young. They existed, of course. There were many Olympians in the past, but the facilities, it was just on a school level, being able to run on the grass, sometimes barefoot, basically racing people. And it's just that you start winning at that moment and you build a momentum. My momentum was that I wanted to go to the highest level. And that was just my mentality at that point. Like, okay, if I'm winning here, how far can I go? And the Olympics being the highest level is what kind of made me think like, okay, this is where I want to go at that age already.
Yeah.
And that set the tone because that makes a big difference in how far you can go when you know where you want to go in the beginning. Yeah. It makes the path a lot shorter, I would say.
So essentially, you set that dot on the horizon and then you start to reverse engineer to where you are today,
basically,
and what the path is to get there.
Yeah, and I've looked at many successful Olympic champions in the past as well, and when they look at the videos of they had when they were basically kids, like 5, 6, 7, let's say 10 years old running, they had some kind of clips where they said like, yeah, I want to become an Olympian or I want to become the best. And at that age, they already knew what they wanted to. So the path, when they actually got there, they actually achieved it at a younger age than the average Olympian. So they did it at maybe 19, 20. And you could see from a very young age, they already focused on that goal. So that really helps in the planning and preparation, I would say.
Yeah. So let's 1920 at that moment you're not you're not on a direct path to the Olympics. So from primary school heading into high school, give us a little bit of context of that journey, how you developed as an athlete in those years.
So it's important,
your formative years.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's very important that you set the goals to whatever is the highest accomplishment you can achieve at that given point. So for me, when I was in primary school, I said, okay, well, what can I achieve? Well, if you're from the Caribbean, it's the Carifta Games. That's the Caribbean Junior Championships. And then that was the hype and the talk of everything. Like, if you could receive a medal at the Carifta Games, then this is the beginning of your career. So the first Carifta Games I went to in Martinique in '97, I was under 17. I got a bronze medal in triple jump. Never triple jump outside of Dominica before. I just learned doing triple jump a couple months before. And I went there and I got a medal. And I said to myself, wow, if I can accomplish this against the bigger countries, Jamaica, Trinidad, Bahamas, I mean, this really, again, is giving me notification that I can actually do it. So the Carifta Games is basically the target at that point. When I achieved that, I got a bronze medal. Then the next thing is the World Championships, Junior World Championships. I qualified for that as well. So I had targets at every age category that I had to hit. That was a goal for me that I focus on, and I keep on hitting those targets. So after middle school, I won primary school, I won all of those races that we had, sports day. Then the next thing was making the national team. I did that. The next thing was getting a medal. I did that. And the next thing was like, okay, you approach your junior years. So you're 18, 19. What's the next thing? Go into the World Junior Championships on the 20. And the next thing is obtaining a scholarship to the US. I mean, that's a big thing. I didn't even realize that I would have gotten a scholarship or gone to the US at that age, because the focus for me was going to Europe, because I'm a European citizen. And then all of a sudden I started hearing about American colleges and guys that are at the Olympics already at my age, but it's because they went to a very good Division I university that has a very good program. I was like, okay, so this American school system thing seems to be very good and complementary in helping you get to the professional level, because everybody's doing it at that moment. So my focus changed from trying to become a World Championships participant to also obtaining a scholarship to the US. And that was basically my target until I was 19, 20. Full scholarship, World Junior Championships.
Yeah. So so that target, did you well, I know you went to college in the US, so that goal is definitely checked off. And then the World Championships?
Yeah, I achieved that, and I achieved the Carifta Games. The Carifta Games was the platform to get me into the World Championships. And then once I did that, that basically gave me the full scholarship to the US.
Okay.
So it was a step by step. So first I learned how to triple jump, then I got the bronze medal. That means that I have potential to make it to the World Junior Championships. Then during the process of qualifying for the World Junior Championships, I got the scholarship to the US, and that basically, one step after the other, basically propelled me to achieving more and more.
So this sounds like a well devised plan.
Yeah, I know. It's like a book that was written already.
So who gave you this book, or who created this plan for you? Who helped you in the process, dude?
Maybe I had a more mature thinking at that point, but I was very observant, I would say.
Yeah.
I would be very observant in people that have done it already, that have basically gone through the similar path that I wanted to go to. And that wasn't people that were mentors to me. Those were just people I saw like, oh, wow. So this guy...
What were these people you had conversations with, or just more from a distance. From film, from
distance and achievements? Okay, for example, if you're a triple jumper, then you hear about whoever that's the biggest triple jumper in the Caribbean. Well, oh wow, how did he get to that distance already? Well, he got a scholarship to this university and he did that. Sprinting wise, we had a few guys in the Caribbean that was already way ahead, that was sprinting on professional level as a junior on the 20s. Like, wow, these guys are so fast. What do they do different? Well,
who were these guys that were sprinting at a different level in the Caribbean at that time?
Mainly, there was a couple guys from the Caribbean, like from Trinidad. You had Darrell Brown, Mark Burns, to name a few. There was a couple of Jamaicans as well, Omar Brown. Those were guys in my time that were just doing phenomenal compared to everybody else. They were already in the US. They could have professional contracts. Some of them were already signed with Nike. And it's kind of like, wow, how did they achieve that? Well, they had coaches in their country that were on that Olympic level already. So they were able to give them the necessary tools and knowledge to grow quickly.
Yeah.
And plus, when they went to university in the US, they went to the top schools, the schools that always had Olympic champions from the Caribbean around the world. So once you get into those programs, you like destined to basically make it. So I was kind of observant, like, okay, how do I get up there? Okay, I need to get to a really good school with a good program. I need to do this and that. And I asked questions and I looked from a distance and see what those athletes were doing. And that kind of was like my script, I would say.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Yeah. Very observant, just taking notes like, all right, so this is how it's done. All right.
So you were that teenage guy that was out there creating his own master plan.
Basically, I was like, okay, how do I get there? And what is being done at that point? And for me at that moment, what's the biggest thing that I could do to contribute towards me moving closer to that target? And one thing I used to do at that point, I used to try to evaluate all options that I had to make sure that I don't have any regrets. So when I look back in my career, I would say that I did the best I could do at that point. Yeah. Not kind of just like, yo, you could have done this better. I really tried. I really made the effort. I really called, talked to coaches, emails. I tried to do as much as I could at that point to make sure I was satisfied with my decision in the end.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot because I would say to the path that I took to come here, I think I achieved a lot. So that was really a contributing factor towards that.
Awesome, man. So when we, so now we're around the 1920 mark. So you're in college. So where did you go to college?
I first went to Lindenwood University. It's a university outside of St. Louis, Missouri. So I went to Missouri. I got a full scholarship. A coach saw me at one of the Caribbean regional competitions and he said like, you know, I can give you a scholarship. I'm a coach at one of the universities. At that time it was Lindenwood. And I said, okay. And I took it. When I went there, I know you're probably going to ask me what's the next target. The next target was being national champion. So I was two-time national champion.
So national champion in the US?
In the US, in the university for my division. So I was two-time NAI national champion. That's like Division 2 because it was a smaller college. So I was two-time national champion in triple jump. And I was four-time All American, meaning that I got top 8 in long jump as well. So that was my target at that point. How can I become the highest level in school? And I achieved that to go to a bigger university where I can actually push myself more. And then I
so the bigger university would then be Division 1. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the ones we see on TV all the time. We follow the big schools, University of Florida, you know, Alabama and, you know, Texas. So I know that, okay, if right now you have a degree that you're going to get paid for, but what do you want to do? If you want to achieve something high in terms of sports, you have to go to the biggest school because the biggest schools get recruited the most from a professional perspective. So that was my next focus.
Okay. So did you transition then in college?
Yeah. So after I was two-time national champion at that first university, I went to Missouri State University, which is a NCAA Division 1 school. There was a coach there that was from the Bahamas. He was also a professional jumper. So I was like, okay, I could have gone to any university, but I chose that school because I felt like having a coach that I can have that one-on-one relationship with that can actually coach me, but also compete with me was pretty cool. So I did that. And I became two-time NCAA All American and I broke the school record there. So I did as much as I could.
Look. That's why this on the arm.
I had to get that, you know. All the hard work. I look at this. Okay, you did it. Yeah, so that was again setting a target for a certain period of
because that's the same NCAA that has the whole basketball and
highest level. So NCAA Division 1 means that all of the programs, most of the programs within that university is on the highest level. Basketball, football, soccer, American football, all of the sports is on the highest level. So when you compete on that level, most likely you're competing on Olympic level because you have international athletes coming from around the world getting full scholarships. Then you're competing against the best athletes in America at that point. So that's usually people on the professional level. And that's why recruiting from a university in the US is so easy because they're already competing on professional level anyways. Just like, I'll take this guy, I'll take this girl and give them a contract with Nike and Adidas and stuff like that. So so that was the target when I went to university. What can I achieve to be on the highest level of sports? Because the education comes automatic. You just study, you make sure you get your grades. But then
so what did you major in?
I did a bachelor's in finance, focusing on banking.
So why?
Well, that's a good question. In the beginning, true. It wasn't just a gamble. I thought of that one.
Because I mean, the one that has the passion for athletics and achieving the dream and the goal of making it to the Olympics and competing on the highest level. How does the plan B turn out to be banking, finance and banking? It does seem like kind of opposite worlds.
Totally. Introvert type of degree versus extrovert type of career in a sport. No, I would say that when I started, I always try to think ahead. So when I was in high school,
Plan again, eh?
planning again. I was just like, man, where are we going in the future? Well, technology, the .com boom, as they say, in 2000 was coming, and I was always intrigued in computers. I already had a computer when a lot of my friends didn't have one. So I was like, okay, I need to do something that is going to be very popular later, but it's not popular now. And that was IT. So when I first started, I wanted to become a computer engineer. And then I went through C++ and calculus and all of those programs. But then I realized it wasn't for me because I had to apply myself. It wasn't automatic. Most of the friends that were engineers, their brain worked where they didn't have to study. The numbers made sense.
Yeah.
I actually had to study. I was like, you know what? I'm putting too much effort in trying to learn how to become a computer engineer. So I need to switch to something that's a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
And for me, that was making money, make money. I was like, if I'm not going to go the computer engineering route, I need to get the next degree that's going to guarantee me to be successful.
I got to figure out the other way to get to the bag.
Yeah. And that was finance. I was like, I cannot fail this. If I'm going to be somebody that's doing finance, I'm not going to be just a 9-to-5 guy. I'm going to really make sure I can show that I actually work in that industry.
Yeah.
So then I chose finance, and it was a little bit more natural for me because my dad is an entrepreneur. He had multiple businesses. I saw the flow of how he generated income, multiple streams of income. And I figured if I have a finance background, if you can implement that entrepreneur type of mindset into the finance world, you can be very successful. So that's why I chose. I couldn't think of any other degree I could do at that time. Like just business administration was too general for me. I would get lost, too many options. I didn't know what to do, but finance was focused enough. So I chose to do finance and banking in specific.
Yeah. So the finance and banking as a major, so that major transferred also between the colleges from the first one to the second one.
Yep.
So you completed that. You achieved the multiple titles in your college years. So take us now to once you finish your journey at college. What were those next steps? So what was actually in the plan at the moment? As the next step, and what did you do as the next step?
So remember in the beginning, I always say I always try to think one step ahead. So while I was doing the athletics in the university, I'm like, okay, so the athletics paid for school, and then it's obvious that you're going to graduate because that's your target. But then what happens after? Okay, your athletic ability is limited. There's a very high possibility that you could fail. And if that happens, what's your backup plan? So for me, I already knew from even when I was in high school that there's a high possibility of not making it because injuries always happen to athletes and it's part of the journey. But I also saw that there were a lot of athletes that were young, that were on the Olympic level, and then they would just disappear. And I was like, what happened to this guy? Oh yeah, he got a hamstring injury and he got dropped by Nike. So I said, okay, if the failure is very high, the possibility of failure is high, then I need to work on my plan B. Just in case that happens to me, I can continue my journey and be successful either way. Yeah. Either the athletic thing is going to make me, wealthy and I'm going to be good, or I have to generate the wealth by myself, but I'm going to basically make sure I don't go back in time to achieve that I can continue the journey.
So you was doing some high level math, statistics, probabilities
in the mind. Yeah, basically like doing all the calculations. Like, okay, if I don't make it, where am I going to be? I'm definitely not going to be doing grocery.
We got to plug in that meme now with the.
You're not going to find me at the grocery store serving you food, sir. No way.
like, weren't you all American?
No,
blah blah blah.
That's
blah.
not me. I'm going to be somebody in the back office doing something else. I made sure that didn't happen because I know that was likely possible to happen. Or sometimes I see athletes take the easy route where they become personal trainers. And for me, it's so sad to see somebody that's on an Olympic level that end up doing something like that. Although it can happen on a business aspect, but it should be something bigger than that. If you're basically on the 1% of the world population to achieve something, you should be doing something that's a little bit, I would say, more prestige in my opinion. So I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to get to that level. I said, okay, how am I going to create a plan that if I fail in athletics or in sports, that I can continue my journey and still become successful. Either I'm going to do it with sports or with finance, but I'm going to become something successful. So what I did is my junior year, I started an internship in the bank already, because at that point I realized that if I wait until I graduated my bachelor's of finance and I do start to look for a job, one, I'm from the Caribbean, I have an accent, I'm competing against a bunch of Americans and people around the world that probably are way more smarter than me, then it's going to be very difficult for them to hire me. So I started as an intern. I got in my junior year, and I started with Wells Fargo Bank.
Because for those that maybe also don't know, you're there on a student visa, right?
Exactly.
So in order for you to stay working in the United States, you would have to have a company basically vouch for you as a skilled immigrant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult, because when I think one thing that blocks a lot of Caribbean athletes when they go to the US is the fact that you only have 4 years, or an additional 2 if you do your master's, and you're limited in how much you can work. So what I did is my third year, I got an internship, which was part of the school program. So I didn't have to use my OTP. It's like optical practical training. It's like it allows you to work for 1 year after every degree that you obtain. Again, research. I was just like, okay, how can I stay longer? How can I make most amount of money?
How do I maximize this plan?
Everything that I do, I try to figure out how I can maximize, and either I do my research or somebody give me the information. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do it,
which is part of the research, because research is either the desk research that you're doing yourself, or interview.
Exactly. But I went to the international department. I talked to my advisor. So if I want to work, what's the maximum time I can work here in the US? He's like, well, you can get that 1 year visa to work, which is obligated for every student that comes from overseas.
Yeah.
And you could do sort of like an internship, and if the company signs off on it, then it could be paid or unpaid, but it doesn't count towards your working period because it's under certain hours.
Yeah.
So I think the stipulation at that time was like under 20 hours or under, the company can pay for you. A week.
Yeah.
Then the company can pay for you, but it doesn't count as you working outside of your visa's requirements. Because they don't want people to come from the Caribbean or overseas to the US, and while they're in university, they're working 40-something hours and they lose focus. So they're like, internship is internship, 20 hours a week. So I did that. And as soon as I graduated, I applied for that 1 year work visa that I could get. Mm-hmm. And then I was with the bank for 1 year, and then I did my master's and I did the same thing. So totally I kind of bought myself 8 years in the US that way.
Yeah. So the bank that you did your internship with is also the bank that you got hired by in that 1 year? Okay. So that's also the building up the relationships.
Right.
Making sure that they would want to pick you above the easier routes.
Exactly. Because I was more like a burden, right? You come from the Caribbean, they have to make sure they sign papers. Different things apply to me than an American that's coming and just say like, hey.
So were you getting paid in that first internship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got paid in that first internship. And then when I graduated my bachelor's, then I got full-time contract with them under the 1 year visa that I had for work. So that helped me out a lot to build my momentum in the banking industry. And then I got promoted to a senior credit manager at that moment already, because I was so focused on just killing it. I was just aggressive, doing my homework. And by the time that 1 year internship was up, I was already on senior level. I was just focused. I was like, I want to be to the top. I want that company to sign for me and allow me to work and make more money in this country. So that was the idea at that moment. So so that was the journey from bachelor's, and then I did my master's, and I made the bank paid for my master's.
Oh, nice.
So because every company has a budget for education for the employees, I make sure I always make sure that I'm upfront with the managers that hire me. Yeah. That let them know, like, listen, I'm an inspiring Olympic athlete, a professional athlete. This is my target. I want to basically have flexibility in training, and I want you to work with me, and this is what I want to achieve. And once I noticed that approach helped me tremendously, because they gave me the free time to basically train. I had flexible hours, and they supported me. Yeah. They liked that. They thought that, okay, this guy has this type of discipline and time management skill. We actually want him. We like his energy and stuff. And I also saw that in the clients that I had in the bank, because I wasn't doing any kind of retail banking where I was dealing with cash. I was dealing more with clients that have mortgages and and personal loans at the bank. So that kind of conversation, how we're talking, is how I used to talk to the clients, and they like that and stuff, my honesty and stuff like that. So that helped me. And then the bank basically
bringing that true honesty up front. How we like to say in the Netherlands, being transparent. Really helped along that journey. In dealing with people that were way senior than you, that had to basically throw you a bone and give you a chance. Because for them, it's way more of a tougher decision to basically give someone from the Caribbean the type of chances that you got in different moments. But it's your personal ability to connect with them that really help to continuously open those doors.
And sometimes it's very difficult because there's the same internship that I received. There was 2 managers that interviewed me. The first one never gave me a chance because he thought that a foreigner living in Missouri with an accent is probably not going to be successful, period, in banking. Then he left and he went to another bank, and the other manager that came in had more of an open mind concept on maybe that'll be a benefit because he being international and having an accent probably is going to be interesting for customers. And he gave me a chance because he hired a Kenyan lady prior to me, and then he saw the benefit of how that person works. So he gave me a chance, and then we still talk about that today, like where I'm at right now, and he actually gave me a chance and stuff. We're still good friends. So
awesome.
You have to keep on trying. It didn't break me down. It just kind of like let me know that, okay, I have to try.
But again, I mean, this is also something that I've experienced in my career many times as well. You always run into people that are more closed-minded and others that are more open-minded. And the ones that are more open-minded tend to also have experiences in the past that allowed them to grow
and see
in their open-mindedness and see more beyond their regular scope and point of view. I always believe that traveling, living in different countries, being in different places, interacting with people from different cultures, it opens your mind to so much. It's incredible.
That's true.
So that's what we would definitely recommend to everyone out there.
Yes, definitely.
And if you run into those that are more closed-minded, don't worry, it's not their fault. You actually have to feel sorry for them that they haven't been exposed to because in some cases they might have been exposed to something that could have triggered them to become more open-minded, but they were just so closed off that they didn't allow
more
it
conservative. And then also you have to realize that the path of being successful is not the same for everybody. That person could have been a branch manager that successfully ran many branches with having locals serving local people, and he felt like I've already done it in that way. So why would I hire somebody from overseas to do the same job? That maybe hurt me. So you have to
so that was from his perspective, like, this is my winning formula. This doesn't belong to
exactly. And then I think also individually, there's 2 things people can do, especially when you're coming from the Caribbean. One, you cannot take these type of situations too personal, because it's part of the process. And 2, you always have to be the best sales agent for yourself. You have to sell yourself, because maybe that person might just switch a little bit based on how much they can feel your energy and how they can feel like you could maybe change your perspective. And I always believe once you get in front of an interview and stuff, you have to sell yourself. You have to be able to tell them why they should hire you and stuff. And those 2 things will basically help you overcome that obstacle.
Awesome, man. So you said you bought yourself basically 8 years in the States. So that's 4 years college, 1 year working, 2 years master, another year working. And during your master, you were also doing sort of an internship working at that time, or you were fully focused on the master?
So when I was doing my masters, I was allowed to work for the bank under this type of work internship type of situation. And when I was finished with that, then I used the 1-year work visa after that. So that's how I basically capitalized, keeping 1 foot in the banking industry and 1 foot doing the athletics and stuff during that entire period. So I had never had a moment where I wasn't a professional athlete and not a banker. I always made sure that I was working on the side. On the off Olympic years, then I would go more aggressive in the corporate environment. And during the Olympic years, I would work less. I might take maybe half a year off, but I know that
Yeah.
You know, having that consistent income coming in gives me balance. And I kind of liked it. Like when I did banking, I was 100%, you wouldn't even know I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
When I did athletics, you wouldn't even know I'm a banker. So like, this guy is full-time athlete. He's not doing anything else. No, man, I have a
All
lot
right,
of
Bruce Lee, Aquarius, be like water.
Bruce Lee too. I didn't even know. That's good, man.
No, I'm not sure about Bruce Lee, but I mean the Aquarius being like water,
Yeah.
and you know, water can flow,
Yeah.
but water can also hit hard.
Yeah.
Like if you land
Yeah,
messed
for
up
sure.
on water, like
It's like concrete.
bruise you. It's like concrete, and water can freeze and turn into ice and also
Exactly.
knock you out.
Exactly.
But water can also be very flowy and
Yeah.
So that's what I mean with the water taking on these different forms.
Yeah.
Because when water is ice, you would never think that it was water.
Exactly. Strong words there.
All right. So 8 years in the States. And now after that 8 years, where are we at in the plan? And what's the next steps and how did you execute?
Yeah. So at that point, it's kind of like, okay, where do you see yourself going? Crazy story about the banking environment. When you're doing your bachelor's or your master's, you're thinking about your career on hand. What do you want to achieve? Most people just want to get a really good job within the field of study. And for me, when I got into the bank and after that first internship and I got signed full time and I got promoted to a senior credit manager, senior loan officer, I realized that I've made it. I don't want to be a branch manager right now because that's going to take too much time for training. So I actually have made it to the highest level at that moment. And I was like, that's it. I mean, 9 to 5. I don't see the excitement here. I mean, I get a good paycheck, but I mean, that is it. That is not enough for me. It didn't feel like the highest level that I could achieve within myself being a banker. So I said, you know what?
But that wasn't 5-year-old Fabian's plan.
No, not really.
That's why.
Yeah, it wasn't. You're right. It wasn't part of the plan. So I was like, quitting everything and becoming a banker and full-time employee and dropping everything else wasn't part of the journey.
That wasn't the plan because the Olympics didn't get accomplished.
Exactly.
So 5-year-old Fabian was like, nah, son.
It's not enough. I'm not going to settle for this part of my life. No way. I'm not going to be defeated in that way. But I sat down and the district manager came to me and he said, Fabian, you've been doing very well. I remember 1 month I closed something like 50 loans.
Wow.
There's something we call a grand slam, and that's when you have a customer take every product that the bank offered. So a mortgage, a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, credit cards, insurance, auto loan. And I used to have a financial plan. So when the customer comes, I used to tell them, like, okay, bring your tax papers with you and then bring your pay stubs. I just want to have a conversation with you on how things are going for you financially. And when they sat down in front of me, I said, okay, your mortgage, you're paying 5%. Your car loan, you're paying 16%. Your credit cards are 25%. I can create a plan where I can restructure everything, put it under one loan. You can keep the same payments and be debt-free in 10 years, or you can lower your payments by $500. And they love that. So that was considered a grand slam. So I was hitting customers with that all the time. They put me on this big national conference call on how I basically generate that much sales. And I basically had a conference call and I was achieving so much. And the district manager came to me and he said, you're doing so well. Where do you see yourself in the bank? So this is the moment where I could just totally say, forget about Olympics and stuff and just focus on the money, get my own branch. And I was honest. I was like, this is really good where I'm at right now, but I still have a lot I want to achieve in terms of my athletic career. So I want to stay where I'm at the moment. And then I always have the rest of my life to work and stuff. And he agreed with me because that district manager, like most American district managers and people on that level, they came from a sports background. He was like an ice hockey professional player.
Okay.
So he understand where I wanted to go and stuff. He said, okay. But at that moment, if I had said, forget sports and stuff, I would have gone big time. So I made that decision with him and I said, I'm going to continue the sports because I felt it wasn't enough. I didn't feel happy, or I had all of these trophies on my desk, and I'm saying to myself,
those are banking trophies.
Banking trophies. Top dog.
That's not what I'm looking for.
I don't want that. It's not a gold medal.
5-year-old Fabian wasn't looking for these banking trophies.
All these crystal things like MVP, top dog, sales person of the. I was like, nah, it's not satisfactory enough. That's not where I want to. That was not on the contract of where I want to be. So I made a decision after that. I said, you know what? I need to give myself some time to try fully as a professional athlete. And if I don't make it, it's fine. I know I've given it 100%. Moved down to Florida, went pro. I got a Cuban coach that I met in Holland. Before I got there, I had the Dutch passport, and I said to myself, okay, now I'm in America and I'm trying to pursue the professional career. Where's the best place to be in terms of athletics? And that's Europe. Yeah. Every American goes to Europe to make money because they don't have sports in colleges and stuff. They just have it as clubs, and clubs have money and sponsors. So that was the moment I decided to switch to represent Holland, was at that moment.
Okay.
And I said, if I'm going to go to Europe, I really want to be European, see Europe so I can maximize getting to the Olympics. Again, I draw the path again. I reached that roadblock and I was just like, okay, how do I get to that level? And I realized, okay, if I become a European citizen. And
for the kids at home, the path to success is never a straight line.
Never. That my own was rocky like this. At first I peak and then I drop down again. I peak, I drop down again, peak, and I had to replan. And if you guys listen to the path from when I was in primary school and then I went to high school, it's like I had targets for myself, but I also had to replan and rethink and readjust. So it's just always a bumpy ride, but you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I want everybody to realize, that at every roadblock that I was faced with, I was prepared for the planning of the next step, because I know it's inevitable that you're going to get to that part where you're stuck.
Yeah.
And that's why you tell me like, yo, so after high school, what did you do? Well, I wanted to do this, and then I planned to do this one, and then I give you steps of how I accomplished every single phase of my life because I was prepared to replan.
Yeah.
So I went down to Florida. I contacted the NOC-NSF, the athletic uni. I said, my name is Fabian. This is my passport. This is what I've achieved. This is my personal record. And of course, they were like, yeah, because at that time, my personal triple jump record was more than the Dutch record. So they were very happy. We had no triple jump culture in the Netherlands at that time. So me coming to the Netherlands to do triple jump when the last triple jumper they saw was in the 80s was a big thing for them. So I took the leap.
What year was that?
Well, the last triple jumper to go to the Olympics for the Netherlands was in 1926, something like that.
Oh shit, 1926.
26, yeah. And the last triple jumper to break a record was a guy named Frank Maas, and that was from the 80s when he went to university in the US.
And when did you come to the Netherlands and started competing here?
First time was 2008. First time I ever touched, I hadn't really even heard Dutch because people in St. Maarten don't speak Dutch like that. So even in St. Maarten, I didn't hear no Dutch, unless if you go to the gemeente or the politie or something. Those are two places I never went.
Yeah, not even by the politie, not really by the gemeente.
No, all the time I'm in St. Maarten. Even when I pick up my Dutch passport in St. Maarten, we went to the gemeente and it's like, that was it. Thank you very much, and fijne dag verder. Not even in Dutch, in English. And I just never was exposed to Dutch.
Yeah, but you never went to any of the St. Maarten schools, because then you would hear the St. Maarteners speaking some St. Maarten raw Dutch.
Yeah. That would have been a game changer, but I didn't get exposed to that.
But even that is already transitioned over the last 20 years. There's a lot more English schools in St. Maarten now.
Yeah. So from St. Maarten, getting the Dutch passport, because my mother was born in Curacao at that time. It was just, we always spent a lot of time in St. Maarten. My brother was there, that already. So once I got the Dutch passport, basically from birth, I just had it, but I was not really going to Holland. And I said to myself, well, now is the time I can really try to see if I can get to Europe. I contacted the St. Maarten Athletic Federation at that time to see if I could represent St. Maarten instead, but a little bit of breaking communication there. That didn't go smoothly. So I was like, you know what, let me just go all the way to the top. Let's go to Holland, call it a day, and just see if I could make it. And I contacted them and they said, yeah. And then my first time I entered Holland was 2008. First time I ever touched down. I went to my first Dutch championships. I won it. And from 2008 till 2019, I never lost a triple jump competition in the Netherlands, ever.
Damn. So that's 11 years in a row.
Straight. Those guys hate it when they see me like, oh, man, why you have to come? I'm here to win.
Can this guy go back to Dominica or Missouri or Florida?
Nope, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Nederland.
Yeah, he's in Netherlands, or what am I come for there? Like, man, we should stop people from having 2 passports. You know, this is the problem. But I could see the expression every time I show up. It's just like, oh man, I'm going to lose today. I was like, yeah, that's the presence I want.
So you really had that MJ presence there.
I had the energy.
Shit.
I had the energy, and even from university, I
Jordan
never forget.
is in the building.
I never forget from university. My
Triple
friend,
jump Jordan.
why is he coming here for? Damn, I'm going to lose today. I had a friend told me on my track team in the US. She was like, you don't really see it, but when you arrive at a competition, you could feel that your competitors are going to lose. I never look at it from that perspective. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you can see like the expression in your competitors, the way they look is just like, man, this guy is here again. And I saw that a few times and stuff. End up picking a random competition to go. And when the guy sees me, he's like, why you have to come here? Tweede plaats voor jou vandaag, eerste plaats voor mij, weet je? I mean business. Yeah, so that was kind of like my energy. I used to come like, okay, I'm on a mission. I want to win today. And maybe people felt that with me. Like, you know, I was just focused on what I wanted to accomplish. So yeah, so 2008, I won my first title and I never lost a Dutch championship. I broke the Dutch record multiple times. Indoor and outdoor national champion. I broke the Dutch record. I have the indoor and outdoor record. And then when I made it to the Olympics, I became the best triple jumper in the history of the Netherlands because I was 2-time European champions as well. Clubs and teams. I went there, I beat a lot of Olympic champions that were in that competition and stuff, which I gained a lot of respect. So I made a name for myself very quickly. So that was beyond what I expected, I would say. I wanted to go to the Olympics, but I never thought during the journey of coming to Holland that I would have been undefeated.
Yeah.
And 20-time national champion and the best triple jumper in the history. I just knew that I wanted to get to the Olympics. But the journey that I had to take to get there, the steps, once I started achieving them, I kind of like built a nice resume for myself and working out very well. So that was pretty cool.
Man. Proud of you, bro.
Appreciate it. For the people.
Even though probably back in 2010, and at that point, we probably didn't see each other for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years or something.
A long time.
Yeah, basically on that journey in the States, that amount of time in between. The first thing I said, oh, so you still jumping?
Yeah. First thing I saw this guy, after many years, he's like, boy, you still jumping around? I was like, what kind of a rude comment is that? Yes, I am still jumping around. And I'm going to make money with it. It's like, but you're still jumping. For him in his mind. He's been seeing me jumping for like 20 years. It's like, since I know this guy is like jumping all over the place doing competitions. We're all adults right now. And this guy is still doing this thing. I remember that. I was just like, man, are you trying to insult me? Okay.
No.
Now I'm just joking.
That's just that sort of forward Caribbean type
but you're still doing that? Yeah, I'm lasting a long time.
But yeah, you invited me to a couple of the competitions, and I saw the whole energy, the whole atmosphere, and I also seen like how it was like, oh, Fabian is here. Like, oh shit, man, bro really did it.
Yeah, it was good seeing you there. I think when you first came and saw me in Den Haag when I competed at the club championships, I had actually switched my legs from jumping from left to right, and I had broken the stadium record, and I almost equaled the Dutch record. It was crazy, but that was the best competition I ever had at my club at Haag Athletic. That's when you came and saw me. So
oh shit, I had to come to the Olympics, man.
You should have been there.
A lucky charm.
Well, Johnny's here. I'm gonna win. That record is done. I'm destroying this today. But I appreciate you coming through and the support, of course. That was pretty good.
Awesome, man. So 20-time champion, and So let's zoom in a bit to this journey now towards the Olympics, because I remember back in 2012 that you were already on that path.
Yeah.
And this is maybe another one of those moments where the plan was set out, you're going, but then another roadblock hits.
Yeah.
So dive into that a bit for us.
So 2008 was my first time in the Netherlands. I was bouncing back and forth from Florida to the Netherlands because at that time we had no triple jump coach in the Netherlands, or specialized coach or coach enough knowledge, that had enough knowledge that could get me to where I wanted to be. So the advice from my club was to, and also the Athletic Unity Federation, was to go back to the US, continue training there because the weather is better and I could achieve a lot more, and just come back to Europe for the major competitions. Yeah. So 2008, I was going back, I was banking, coming back, working, coming back. And then I was in really good shape. I had a Cuban trainer that I met in Holland in 2008 when I competed for the first time at the Dutch Championships in Amsterdam Olympic Stadium. He met me. He actually thought I was from Dominican Republic, started speaking Spanish to me. I was like, no, Dominica, not Dominican Republic. And then...
Hola, ¿qué tal, Fabian?
Hola, Fabian, ¿cómo estás? Triple salto. I was like, poquito español, angry. You know, so...
the triple salto.
Yeah. So that was crazy. So he became he decided to coach me. I was like, man, to have a Cuban coach is so rare. It's very difficult. The Cubans stay to themselves. And to get the Cuban coach outside of Cuba was so challenging. And the fact that one was in Netherlands, I couldn't believe it. So we started working together. And then I had to fly him into the US to train with me, to train me and to pay him a salary and stuff. So that was a tremendous sacrifice financially. And we were training so well. From the time we started working together in 2009, I broke the Dutch record. I qualified for Europeans and a lot of the major championships around the world. I got a contract with
So
ASICS.
At this point, you're the athlete that is working on athletics, working at the bank.
Yep.
The money that you're making from the bank, you're paying for your coach that you flew into the US, which he would then also need to get his paperwork straight to be able to train.
He only used to come for 3 months.
Okay.
With the Dutch passport, just come for 3 months and go back. And actually, I took a break from the banking, in 2008, 2009, because I wanted to start spending more time in the Netherlands in training. So what I did is I invested in a car dealership. I found out that there was a car dealership that didn't have good management. There was one family running it. The son was the sales agent, the mom was the administrative officer, and then the father was the mechanic, and I took over. And that was basically helping me sustain my professional career during the time when I was in Florida. Invested in Missouri, moved to Florida, had the Cuban coach come with me, and we were basically training together. So that's what I did while I was going back and forth and preparing for 2012 Olympics. Everything was great. 2012 indoor season, I started off great. I was ranked top 5 in the world in triple jump. I broke the Dutch record. And then as soon as I got hot, I started getting more requests to jump. The Dutch Federation was inviting me to come over to Holland to compete, but that wasn't part of my plan. And I got a small calf injury. And that basically killed my plan for 2012. I recovered enough to jump far right before the Olympics, but not enough to hit the qualification standard. And also, I wasn't healthy enough because in Holland, even if you qualify for the Olympics, they still do this sort of like this health check on you to make sure that you're fit, and they still make a final decision if you go in. So just because you qualify, it doesn't mean that you go in.
Yeah.
So I was devastated. I was like, man, all these years of training, and I'm there. Like I have the potential to do it. And
what I'm hearing here too is that the plan was set, but then the success sort of catapulted that it started to pull you in multiple directions, that you deviated from the plan, which helped cause the injury, which then broke the plan.
Basically, that one, I would say, I wouldn't say greed, but when you start making money with athletics, it's more commission based. So if you get invited to competitions, you just jump on a plane and just do it. But me going to the Netherlands in the indoor season of 2012 wasn't part of my plan. Me and the coach said that we're going to stay in Florida. We're going to work on our technique and start building from there. But once I got the call from the federation, I made that decision to go up. And from there, I got that injury. And it really sort of like destroyed the whole rest of my season. It took me 3 months to recover. And then my last competition, which I'd already qualified for the European Championships in Helsinki, Finland, and I jumped very well there, but I had a very small fall, which was a very good jump, but I crossed the line a little bit too much, and that was it, and it was all over. And that was really tough for me because I put in so much work, time, and money into getting to the 2012 Olympics. It was in London. Yeah, it was tough.
The 5-year-old Fabian was basically right at the destination, and then it it crashed just before the destination.
Crashed right before, and I was like, okay.
But that was a mad, I remember that period.
Yeah, that was tough.
We had one or two calls back then, one or two interactions. And I could imagine, I can't even imagine how how devastating that must have been. But the perseverance, the drive, that even though you were basically knocking at the goal and couldn't achieve the goal at that moment, yeah, at some point you just dusted yourself off and said, screw it.
Yeah, basically.
we gonna make this thing happen by the hook or the crook.
Yeah, I had to replan. So of course, now we're looking at the curve. So I'm at the top. I'm ranked top 5 in the world. Everything is great. Like I'm destined to make it at the Olympics. Actually, if I jumped just a little bit further at that time, not only I would have qualified for the European Championships, but I would have hit the Olympic standard. And then bam, I crashed all the way to the bottom because I got injured. And I said, okay, now I have to replan. So what is the plan if I want to continue going with the athletics? Because I do have the potential to make it to the Olympics. So what I did is I closed down the garage, the dealership that I had, because it was too much going on. I couldn't manage it properly because I was overseas. I was in Florida. I wasn't in Missouri, and I didn't want to.
Not enough focus.
No, I had to cut my losses on that, and I closed it down. And then the next thing is like, okay, if you are going to make it to the next Olympics, which is 2016, then you have to restructure the plan where the side job is more focused on, but also is easier than what you previously did, so that just in case you don't make it at the 2016, you're not going back too much in life.
Yeah.
So that was my focus from 2012 to 2016, was to focus on working, and I got a job with Blackstone Investment Group, which is a hedge fund company out of New York that had a branch in Florida. And I started working with them, and I approached them and I said, I'm a professional athlete. I am doing professional sports right now. I'm not going to stop until I get to the Olympics. I'll work, but I need the flexibility. There was a high school that was like 1 kilometer from the office I was working at. So I structured this whole plan where I can just leave the work, go straight to training on certain days. And certain days I would train in the morning, and I would go to work after. It was a perfect schedule. Nice. And that helped me balance the financials.
But I was in Florida.
In Florida.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, you know what? I sacrificed so much to get to the 2012 and it didn't happen. I was like damage control. I was like, you're going to train, but you're going to stay in Florida, keeping the income consistent. And then when you become good enough, then you're going to go to the Netherlands. But you're not going to go to the Netherlands, leave everything behind, and then sort of struggle. And then if you fail, you just dunk to the bottom and stuff, because I had to reset again. So I said, no, that's not going to happen. So then I started working back in banking, this time more on the portfolio management side. And
because to just reconnect and rewind, the reason why you couldn't like build up yourself, your life, etc. in the Netherlands at that time was because the coaching, the professional coaching was just not available.
The support for me wasn't there at that time. The athletic uni was focusing on estafette, on sprints, relay and sprints, and multi-events, decathlon, heptathlon, and this type of events. Triple jump was never in the scope. So because triple jump is not in the scope, every year, every Olympic, every 4 years, they decide, okay, which is the areas that we want to focus on to build the sport. And because we never had a culture in triple jump, they never had invested in a triple jump coach. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm not going to sacrifice going there when there's no support. Had there been a national triple jump coach, it would have been different. He'd be like, yo, Fabian, come. We're going to give you this type of funding. I had funding, but it wasn't enough where I could say like, forget banking and stuff like that. And he would take me under his wing and he would support me, but I didn't have that. So I said, I'm going to stay in the US, reset, get back into banking. I have the word and the tools to make it to the next level. I'd already jumped on Olympic level anyways, so I know what to do, train myself and stuff. And once I hit the standards, then I pack up and I leave. But I'm not going to do that until I basically have those things in place. Yeah. That was the replan and the restructuring from 2012 to 2016. And then 2015, I was jumping consistently and I decided that I could give it a shot and go to the Netherlands. And then I hit the standard in 2016 in Florida. like about 3 months before the Olympics. But I planned that thing so well. I had a book and I wrote down everything from my nutrition to my training schedule and how well I was going to perform at every competition.
Yeah, I remember you couldn't eat none of my chicken at the barbecue.
Only healthy stuff.
It wasn't part of the nutrition plan.
It's like, what is this? No, we don't. I don't understand this.
Like, have a beer? No, bro.
No,
Can't.
Clean. The discipline.
See
was
me
crazy.
after the Olympics.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if I fail, no problem. But I want to make sure it's not 2 bottles of Heineken that cost me from making it to the Olympics. I don't live life with no regrets at all.
No regrets,
yeah,
baby.
The discipline was tremendous.
I respect that.
Yeah, so that's my mindset at that point. I'm just like, okay, you have one more shot, 2016. So everything you do before that, you don't want to look back and be like, well, I could have done that. No, I want to make sure my diet was clean, my rest was good and everything. And that's how I kind of programmed myself mentally to get to that level. 2016, I went to Florida to a competition and I hit the standard. And that was it, man. The dream was fulfilled for all of this planning and stuff. But I had a book written down from September of 2015 till the summer of 2016. And yeah, that book deserved to be in a glass shelf or something like that, because I wrote everything in that book that I wanted to achieve, and it happened, you know.
So that okay, interesting.
Like writing everything down, and I was still banking. I started banking in 2016 after the Olympics. I hopped on into working for ING because I wanted to make sure that I continued the banking career. I actually started missing it, and I said, okay, don't get too caught up with the sports thing, because your sports career is your athletic ability is limited.
Yeah, but now you just sort of breeze past the whole Olympic experience.
Oh yeah, I forget about that. Yeah.
Dude, 5-year-old Fabian dreamed about reaching the Olympics. Yeah. Okay, so now you arrived. Tell us a bit about that experience.
Yeah, so I hit the standard. After I hit the standard, I had to go for a physical test. That was I hit the standard in June of May in 2016. And I had to do a physical test. I had to get cleared by the NOC-NSF to say that, okay, this guy is fit enough to make it to the Olympics. So once I received that official letter, I was like, yes, I'm actually going. And then everything changed from there. I'm like, okay, you have big sense of relief because I've now hit the highest standard I have ever achieved in terms of the sport. That's what the ultimate goal. And I challenged myself because I realized making it to the Olympics was one of the most unpredictable things you could ever achieve, because even if you qualify, it still doesn't mean that you're going.
Yeah.
You could have an injury, or the federation could just say, listen, you're just not fit enough to go. Yeah. And you're not going to go. So I was like, wow, this is the only thing that I can think of at this moment, that even after you have shown that you can make it, you're still not guaranteed. Yeah. And I was like, if I can achieve that, that would be the biggest thing that I could ever achieve in my life, because I did the calculation is 0.005% of the whole population.
Even the damn probabilities and statistics came back into the plan again.
I was like, what is the possibility of making the Olympics? Well, you have a better chance of dying than making it. Wow, okay, 0.005%.
Cue the meme.
I was like, man, yeah. I was like, okay, if I do this, like it's like an astronaut, man, I have to achieve this. So I qualify, and then we hop on this plane. We did a nice presentation in Papendal in the Netherlands, where they gave us the uniform, and it started sinking in, like, yeah, I'm going to make it have a nice suit, and it's very professional. We go to a training camp in Portugal for 2 weeks prior to the Olympics, hop onto that plane, this nice KLM Orange plane and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was the first. Wasn't that the first time that they did the KLM orange and blue?
Yeah. And they flew us there, and it was just a tremendous thing. And I arrived in Brazil, and nice
Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, all the carnival stuff in the airport and stuff like that. I was like, man, what a great experience. And then the crazy thing is that when I entered the Olympics, I realized that the hype about the Olympics is actually the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony. But when I got in there, it was just like a normal competition. I'm like, okay, I'm training with a bunch of like Olympic champions and stuff. So it was a very humbling experience for me. I couldn't have gotten hype. I could not have gotten hype, because the people that I was surrounded around, they were not hype, because they were focused on winning.
Laser focus.
Man, the focus was so intense. I couldn't even take a selfie. I couldn't take a selfie with these people because they were so focused and intense without any distraction. So I had to kind of humble myself that way and just think of it as a normal competition. We missed the opening ceremony because the Dutch Federation doesn't believe that we should go to the opening ceremony. We should just focus on this competing. So I missed the opening ceremony. I got to the Olympics, focused on the competition. I went in there. I didn't do my qualifications. I had the second best jump of that year, 2016, and I missed the finals by like 2 or 3 centimeters. So that was tough. But for me, I had gone that far basically by myself. Yeah. I wrote the book and the plan for myself. So it's kind of like, wow, I reached actually the highest level and became top 25 in the world, half finale, without really having somebody bring me there. I brought myself there. So I felt so relief at that moment when I actually...
In Dutch, they say pet you off.
Thank you well. But it was crazy. When I got there, and I was just like, man, I actually made it and stuff like that. And then I thought that I would basically stop at that point. But then that's when all the stuff comes to you. Is after you become an Olympian, that's when all the sponsorships and stuff come. So I was like, I still have to continue going. So I hit it for another 2 years, 3 years. But then I was smart, so I started working for ING right away to continue the banking as a project manager. And then I started balancing them both until I officially retired. I think in 2020 was my last official competition.
Okay.
So that was the Olympic journey. Went in there, before I know it, poof, it came and go. I was like, wow, that was the Olympics? Like, that's crazy. Like, all that hype and the craziness is just like another competition.
What the 5-year role was dreaming of. So that was accomplished. Let me see. Let me do the calculation. Let me do like some of the statistics now. 88. So that's 26.
26 years in total?
26.
Something like that, because when I started the Olympic dream, we were talking about like 1996. 95.
If you're talking about the 5-year-old, then that's earlier.
Because they're talking about primary school already, right?
Yeah.
So that's like early 90s,
late 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a crazy journey. So 20,
yeah, almost 30 years.
Basically,
the journey was almost 30 years.
Yeah, it was long indeed. I would say, even if I just conservatively say, like, 1990, for example.
Yeah, that's already 26.
Yeah, that's 26 years. So over 20 years, basically. We can conservatively say over 20 years. 20 years of planning and building that journey. Because you can talk to somebody that maybe in university that accidentally decide that they're going to become an Olympian because they just have this crazy talent, and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm going to be an Olympian. Like, for example, there's a guy named Donald Thomas that's from Bahamas that became an a world champion by default. He was playing basketball, and then he was in college with me, and then a guy made a bet with him like, yo, I bet you cannot jump over 2 meters in the high jump. He went there in basketball shoes and he jumped like 2:15. And then he transferred to another university. In 2 years, the guy went from 0 to basically world champion. Like, that guy had a journey way shorter than mine. I already had the vision from the time I was like,
that was just natural, raw talent. And the right situation around him immediately to
big time. So he became like an Olympic level athlete, like within a year and a half, of just because he had a challenge, where I actually planned that journey for myself from the time I was like very young. I don't know, 8 years or whatever, 6 to 8 years, and basically build up towards where we are right now.
Yeah,
it's been like a 25, like you say, 26-year journey, and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
So now we close in the chapter on Olympics and athletics, and the transition already started basically after the Olympics, right? In 2016, the transition towards the next phase, which is picking back up work in the banking industry.
Yep.
And it's been 7 years already.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. So how has that journey been like? Sort of the second renaissance of the banking career.
Well, when I realized that, okay, I'm going to start tapering down on my athletic career, then that means I'm going to have more time to focus on my corporate career.
Yeah.
So from 2017, I applied for a program manager position at ING, and I got that. And that's when I said, like, okay, this is where you're going to transition into taking your corporate career onto the next level.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it simultaneously, but
Yeah.
because I know that I was basically maybe going to do athletics for another year or two, I said that it'll be a great transition where when I decide to finally retire, that I'll be at the peak of my banking career.
Yeah.
So I started with ING as a program manager. And then I just started working hard to understand the structure of the bank, how they work. Again, take that same mentality in sports into the corporate environment, want to be the best. Like, how can I become the best within my position and my role? Started studying, started doing courses within banking and using people as mentors and stuff to help me. And then I just grew. And then, I going from a project manager, program manager to a portfolio consultant. And now I'm more of like a management consultant. And I have grown into a senior role where I design the way that the bank can have better programs, projects, and portfolios within the organization, and I can give more advice. And so I'm a lot senior right now than I was when I actually started banking. And yeah, it's that mentality that actually helped me get there.
Yeah.
So it's been sort of like a journey, but I'm applying the same strategy that I had in athletics into the corporate environment. And I always communicate with my manager, like, listen, I want to go to the top. I'm not there just to pick up the paycheck. I have a target for myself, and you need to actually see that vision with me if we're basically going to work.
So what would you say would be, name me probably the biggest challenge that you ran into in the corporate world versus the biggest challenge that you ran into in the athletic world, and then how the mindset was able to defeat those challenges.
So first thing that comes in mind is overcoming obstacles, period. In the athletic world, that is overcoming obstacles in injuries and financial support.
Mm-hmm.
You can sell yourself a lot in sports, but doesn't mean somebody's going to buy your idea or your talent.
Mm-hmm.
Not because you're doing very well and you qualify for the Olympics or you won a European Championships that Nike's just going to lay out the red carpet for you and give you a contract for €1 million. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So overcoming obstacles in athletics, I had to learn how to not break down my spirit and my drive to continue, because we talked about what happened in 2012 when I didn't make it to the Olympics. I could have totally quit, or that could have broken me, but I had to brush off my shoulders, like you say, and replan and rethink of how I'm going to achieve
rebuild up that spirit.
Yeah. Corporate environment, same thing. When I started, I wasn't too familiar with the European culture in banking. It was totally different. And although I had 10 years of banking and I was more on a senior level, when I entered the role within ING, I didn't have that experience. So it almost like I was starting from a blank sheet, and then I had to situations where I couldn't really handle the task that I had on hand, and I had to kind of figure out a plan on how to overcome that obstacles, and I had to rethink, do more homework, do more research. Like I always replan on how I could become better, and I took that same overcoming obstacles strategy from athletics into the banking industry, and that's how I ended up improving and staying positive, because it was so difficult at times where, again, I'm a foreigner in a country where I'm not fluent in the language. How am I going to succeed? Netherlands is hard. So I had to kind of go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, if you don't change right now, or you figure out how to overcome this obstacle, you're not going to keep the job.
Yeah.
Period. I had a very difficult moment in the first year, I would say, learning how to work things, and I just had to regroup. And even my manager at that time, he was like, I want to commend you. I was like, why? He's like, because most people in your situation would quit already. Yeah. You challenge every day. Everybody around you maybe think that you're not going to make it, and I can see tremendous improvement. And that's the same thing with athletics. You get an injury, I don't think this guy is going to make it. Yeah. You focus on how you're going to get better quicker. See more physio, talk to the physio, do your own research on what you need to do at home, whether it's putting up your leg or icing or taking ibuprofen. I don't know what this situation might be. And then you expedite your recovery in that way. Same thing I applied in the banking situation. I noticed that there was a period where I was kind of failing within my task and my role. And I had to kind of like, okay, how do I get up to speed? Homework, study more on my craft, learn more about program management, talk to more people that's been experienced. I started putting hours every week extra, and I saw the result of that. And then when I started getting better, I became one of few experts on our platform in terms of how to manage our tasks and stuff. And yeah, it's helped me tremendously.
Nice, man.
Yeah, overcoming obstacles. Don't forget that. Very important.
Very, very important. So that the 5-year-old you see, I keep coming back to that. The 5-year-old you had a dream. I had a dream. And that dream was accomplished in 2016.
Yes, sir. Freestyle it.
Freestyle it, bro.
Put it on a beat.
I had a dream accomplished in 2016.
Yes, sir.
Moved over to ING.
Yes, sir. And that's how it flows.
And now in this chapter, because in your story, there's always been two things juggling. There's always been a main focus and there's been a side focus. And as you close the chapter on athletics, that means that your corporate career became the main focus. But knowing you, there's probably a side focus happening now as well. A bit of a side hustle.
Yes, indeed.
So how does that side hustle tie into these new goals, these new plans? Because I can imagine the 5-year-old you had these Olympic dreams, but now the grown you has new dreams and new goals and new deadlines that you set for yourself. So bring us into that train of thought.
Well, I would say my mental state in terms of where I want to be once my athletic career was over played a very important role in my side hustle. So what I did is I put myself in a state where I said, okay, I know I've sacrificed a lot because I chose the path to go to the Olympics. So what I want to do is I want to quickly accelerate the non-athletic side of my life into making money based on the fact that what I think I should have accomplished. So let's say I'm talking about real estate.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, if I was a professional athlete for 10 years, I could have had already 2 properties already, but I didn't get that because I sacrificed. So now I'm basically stopping with the sport. I want to quickly accelerate my real estate portfolio to make up for the last couple of years. Even if it's not really like that, but that's how I thought to myself to make me more aggressive. So I went into real estate. I purchased a couple of properties and to get that going. And then that was one of the side hustles. And then I went into cars and motorcycles on the side. Did a little bit of crypto, not really trading crypto, but just more long-term and focusing on that type of investment. Because when you're trying to accomplish this type of Olympic goals, you have to basically use up all your resources. So you cannot be saying like, oh, let me put 50% of my paycheck on the side because you might need that 50% to survive in the next month. Yeah. So I'm a believer in not putting all your eggs in one basket. And that's why I've always maintained having secondary incomes, even while I was at my peak of my career in athletics. So the same thing applied to when I was trying to do the side hustle. So I did diversify a little bit with stocks and cryptos, real estate, the automobile industry, and maybe just doing a little bit of luxury goods as well. And that's basically been my 5 stream of incomes outside of the banking.
Awesome, bro.
No limitations. If anything else comes as well, if it's good enough, then I'll jump on it as well. I'm trying to make up for lost times. Even if it wasn't lost times, I really accomplished a lot. Yeah. But I'm treating myself like, if I wasn't an Olympian, what would I have been doing before? I would have basically be probably a multimillionaire by now, because my focus would have been the financial Olympics. That's all I can think about it. You talk about that 5-year plan. Well, I would have been hungry from the beginning. Once that district manager came to me and he's like, what do you want? I want to have my own branch and I want unlimited bonuses, and I would just be chasing the money. But I know I wouldn't have been happy. So yeah. So, awesome, man. So that's why I went that path. And I think maybe a thing that helped me is that I wouldn't say I wasn't raised poor. And I think sometimes when I hear a lot of successful people, they always talk about like, yo, I was so poor. I didn't have any money to eat. My parents were this and that. And that gave them the extra hunger or the passion to achieve that highest level of financials because they never tasted. Yeah. But I think once you're raised up where your parents are basically successful, or your dad is an entrepreneur and the money is coming in and you can get support, the hunger is more personal to your personal achievement versus really trying to survive. And I think that is one thing that helped me change towards trying to achieve the athletics Olympics, because it was a personal achievement, not about the money. Yeah. But if it was just like, I could remember times when I didn't have clothes to put on myself, then I would have just take the money, like forget the sports.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny that you say that, because my situation growing up was a bit more on the didn't have a lot side.
Yeah.
So that also drove me in different moments to need to chase the bag, because you come from a place of not having.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, it wasn't, even though the money wasn't there, but there was still a high degree of love and care there.
Yeah.
That and definitely from my mom gave me the room to be whatever I wanted to be, to figure out my path, and then figure out what's right for me, and to really go for that. And once it was something positive, I was fully supported.
Right. That freedom doesn't exist that much, because even me becoming a professional athlete and really going the direction of the sports, that was by default. If it was up to my dad to decide, he would tell me after a while, like, okay, after high school, focus on your studies, because that generation knows that the only way to be successful is to go to college, get the diploma, go get a nice job, a family, blah, blah, blah. But then because I was accelerating so much and I was achieving so much, he couldn't have shut me down.
Yeah.
But if I was just doing it for fun and I wasn't getting any medals, I wasn't qualifying for the world championships, I didn't get a track scholarship, I didn't become university champion, he would have been like, why are you wasting your time? So I kind of had to force myself to be the best in that secondary life.
Yeah.
Because I know the pressure would have come from my parents to stop, because it's not a focus or way of basically being successful in their eyes and stuff. So that was the difference.
But I also like the fact that you touched upon that difference, because once there's a certain amount of financial security, it also allows people to focus on the other aspects of life.
Yep.
And in my entrepreneurial journey, at some point, I can't remember who introduced me to it, but it also felt like one of those unlock moments. The Maslow hierarchy of needs. Mm-hmm. So we're at the bottom of the pyramid. There's the basic needs of food, water, shelter. Then you go one step higher. I believe it's security. So having a safe place to live, and your environment being secure, that you're not worried that you're going to get shot or killed every time you step out your house. And once you go a level above that, then you get into your emotional needs. So friends, relationships, etc. And as you climb higher, every time each one of those buckets are filled, then your wants start to tune in more to the levels above.
Right.
And the highest level is self-actualization. The level just before that is the prestige. So that's where you're looking to accomplish certain things in your life. And that can either be related to financial, or it can be related to interpersonal. And from your story, also knowing you, this was very much purpose driven. The whole journey and to where you ended with making it to the Olympics. And that's because those different layers in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs were already basically covered. And now the switch has come that you are the self-actualization. It's almost as if this is sort of a second life. So the first life was fully accomplished on the pyramid. Yeah. And now there's like a next life that's starting, probably also intertwined with now being a dad as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a different focus, because I wouldn't say a different focus. It's an additional bonus to why you want to succeed. So first you have your personal goals and like, okay, I want to do this for myself. I want to get a degree. I want to be an Olympian. That's my thing. But then when you have children and a family involved, your focus is more like, how can I be the best representative for my children to make sure that they have a good life? And that puts a little bit more of maturity in your planning.
Yep.
Less risky, more thought thoroughly in terms of like how you want to get to that target. And most importantly, your formula will basically have more of a assurance on you being successful at the end, because if you're not, then your kids and your family cannot benefit from it.
Yeah.
So that's another driving factor, is that, you know, the family being involved gives you a little bit of a additional drive in a different way. It's not about you more, it's about what you're trying to accomplish for everybody, which is your family. And that helps, because the harder we work as fathers in terms of providing for our kids or our family, is the higher possibility they will skip the first 2 phases of life and focus on the other part, just like what I explained. So if you raise up sort of like wealthy, or let's say where you don't have to struggle, then when you actually do become successful with your bachelor's or your degree, etc., you can focus on maybe doing a little bit of traveling and enjoying life versus focus on like, oh, I have to work right away, otherwise I cannot help my parents and stuff. So one of the things that I want to accomplish for my family is I don't want my I don't want to ever end up in a situation where my son have to take care of me. I feel like that'll basically put him back in maybe where he wants to go, and I should basically be good enough to provide a good future where he can accelerate his goals in terms of where he wants to go, and not have to basically put himself back. And when I think about that, I think about the times I've read a lot of magazines with why NFL players in the US end up broke compared to other athletes that are born in America and Americans and stuff. And one of the things that they said is that some of the guys that get NFL contracts are so poor that the first 5 years of their salary is going to taking care of the family. And that doesn't give them an opportunity to invest or to grow the money. So by the time they really...
Or to learn how to even manage the money.
And that kind of like decreases the generational wealth, because if everybody could have handled themselves, then that money could have been focused on the future. It's backward thinking in terms of forward thinking. So I think about that in the back of my head a lot, in terms of like, how can I make sure that my family is one step ahead and they don't have to fall back in that way. And that's a good thing to keep. I think once you get more mature and you become a parent and you're trying to be successful as an entrepreneur and also just making money, that is something that really helps you have more of an aggressive drive in making it, so that whatever your hard work is can continue with your family and stuff. Doesn't stop.
Senor.
Gems. Eating some gems right now.
Eating some gems. Drop the gems on them.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it was amazing having you here today. This whole journey for me has been like a dream come true. It's the funny thing about it is, so far I've been connecting and interviewing persons that I know and respect for many years, and it's also a realization for me that there's so many role models also around me, and we share these interesting stories that that need to be told, that the young ones growing up that might be right now in that phase where they're second guessing or doubting what the next move is. They need to see and hear more examples of folks that come from where they come from, face similar struggles as they're facing right now, and get some inspiration / information on how to navigate those next steps.
Yeah, definitely. That's very important. That'll be helpful, because just like when I explained to you, I saw examples in front of me that were making it, and that's what drive me when I was younger. And in the sports, I was like, man, these guys are actually doing very well. Remember when I said that? So had they not been an example, I would have never had the urge to do it, because I'm like, nobody's doing it. But I saw guys who were being successful in the sport, and I'm like, wow, these guys are really making it. They have full scholarship paid for. They have contracts with Nike. Like, I can actually do this. So we can be examples as well. So this is a really good initiative, I would say.
Awesome, man. Sure. Fabian, thanks a lot for being here.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime.
And with that, we're ending today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment think about any other Dutch Caribbean folks, inspiring role models that you would love to see on the show. And let us know down in the comments. If you have any more questions for Fabian, then please drop them in the comments as well. I'll make sure that we connect and get it to him. With that being said, I'm going to the outro, but I even forgot. Where can people find you, dude?
Very simple. Fab Jumper. I have a social media platform. Very easy. Fab Jumper. You'll find me everything. Twitter, LinkedIn.
So FAB Jumper.
Yep.
All one word.
All one word.
Yeah. So that's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you can find me, and you can just put in my name, search, and you can find everything you need to know about me, and we can go from there.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for being here, and see you guys in the next episode. Bless.